I'm going to do a lesson today, detect. To reiterate, the framework is critically important. When you understand framework, you will get better at scripts. When you understand framework, you will get better at handling objections. When you understand framework, your presentation will get better exponentially. But it's critically important that you understand the framework. There is a start and there is a finish. And you can mix things up a little. Today, you're going to hear me talk about the detect section of the framework. I'm going to also touch on the walk around. So one of the things that I'm experiencing with you guys is that you're trying to take the framework and use it at the door. The objective is not to do presentations at people's doorsteps. That might have been what you were doing before, and I'm not saying you can't do it. However, I am saying that if you can slow things down and get to the kitchen table to actually do a demonstration, you're going to get a lot farther. So understand the door is to get in the door. And if you can't get in the door right there, when can you get in the door? In the form of an appointment. But once you get to an appointment, the framework starts to unfold. So what I've noticed is some of you are taking the framework and you're literally trying to do it at the door. And by the way, a lot of you are actually getting results with that. But if you slow it down and your goal is to actually do a full demonstration, you're going to be even more effective. So again, today we're in the detect section. So to review, prior to going on stage, prior to hitting the street, you reflect. You get your head straight. You get your intention straight. If things are bothering you, you use a technique or strategy that we've taught, like the how to do anything process. Feel what you're feeling. Am I safe? What are you going to do now? Living in a question. Question versus judgment. I've showed you a lot of different ways and strategies to manage your mind so that you are operating from a position of mental toughness, not emotional recklessness. And a lot of times things are bothering us and we don't know it. That is why you take a moment prior to going on stage to getting your head clear and reflecting. Then what you do is you connect. We've discussed that. Then what you do is inspect. We've discussed that. The next step in the sequence is to detect. What it means to detect is to discover or identify the presence of. So what is it we are trying to discover or identify the presence of? And so detecting is all about the acronym FLOSS, F-L-O-S. I borrowed this acronym from one of my coaches, Blair, and it's the perfect acronym. What are they frustrated with? What are they lacking? What are they overwhelmed by? What are they stuck on? And so how you facilitate that is through a process. I'm going to teach you my process today, where you facilitate the fear. So I call that FTF. Why? Because pain, everybody in the sales game is going to tell you, you got to find the pain, create the pain, turn the knife. Pain doesn't move people. I'll show you alcoholics and drug addicts that end up dead before the pain got their attention. I'll show you people in narcissistic relationships and abusive relationships who wind up dead before they get out of the relationship. I'll show you people with severe mouth problems before they go to a dentist. So if pain truly was the motivator, why does it not motivate everybody? And the reason for that is because pain is not really the greatest motivator. The greatest motivator, according to neuroscience, is fear, not pain. Sometimes even the fear of the fear motivates people. This is what moves people. So how do you expose fear? How do you help people see fear in their situation without scaring them? That is an art form. And that is an art form I mastered in the alarm business. And I have taken what I did in the alarm business and I can literally apply it to any business. If you are borrowing money, if you're a business owner and you're borrowing money, I can literally use my formula. If you are a homeowner buying pest control, I can use my formula. If you are a business person and you're buying financial services, I can use my formula. If you're a business person and you want to set up a trust, I can use my formula. If you're buying an alarm, I can use the formula. Solar, I can use the formula. I can literally use the formula for almost anything. And that's what I'm going to teach you today. FTF. How do you facilitate the fear? How do you floss? How do you get them to see the lack? How do you get them to understand what they're frustrated with or stuck? Not everybody is frustrated, lacking, overwhelmed, and stuck. Some people are one of those. They're frustrated, or some people are overwhelmed, or some people are lacking. By the way, you've heard me say before, if you can find the lack, you can find the sale. Framework. I'm showing you framework. What are they lacking? You will never know until you start to ask questions. You just won't know. So you got to switch your game plan from shotgunning to strategic questioning. And when you're doing strategic questioning, it would be in your best interest to pay very close attention to your voice tone. Because human beings determine threat based on tonality. Not based on your color, not based on your height, not but Chris Bradford's laughing. Them white people just messing with you. So, but truly, neuroscience, it is not based on color. If you saw the biggest man, 6'6", with hands like this, muscles like that at your door, regardless of their color, and they had a very soft voice, it would drop your guard. Gender doesn't matter. Height, weight, none of it matters. I will contest dress might matter. But what really matters is tonality. So you want to dress in a way that is appropriate for the situation you're going into. If you are going to sell security or solar, you don't want to look like you're on your way to a heavy metal concert or a rap concert, right? So your look and your appearance and your grooming is going to matter. But they can sit and look at you. What truly determines their threat level is your tone. So when you're doing any of the processes that I'm teaching, you must start to become mindful of your tone. And the tone we're going to use here and facilitate the fear is more of a concerned tone. And you'll see why in a moment. Because we are going into fear. I've been doing this for years in the alarm business, and never one time at this stage in the demo was I ever thrown out of a house. Never. Only one time in my career was I thrown out of a house in Worcester, Massachusetts, and the guy was drinking, and he was drinking right in front of me, and I didn't realize, like, while I was there, he probably had 3 beers, and he probably had 3 or 4 more before that. So by the time I got to the close, he was drunk, he got frustrated, he threw us out. Never, ever did I ever have that happen any other time. So I'm telling you, follow the way I teach this. It's magic. It works gold. So this is how you detect. This is how you identify the presence of the fear of the lack, of the overwhelm, or the stuckness. Now, one last thing I'll say, and then I'm going to show you how to do it. If you do not uncover fear, loss, lack, overwhelm, stuckness, you will suffer from lack of urgency. The urgency for the customer to purchase will not be there. This is how you create what some sales trainers call the gap. Here's where you are. Here's where you want to be. You create tension in the middle. It is the tension that moves you from where you are to where you want to be. That's what creates urgency. That if you have no urgency, you're going to think about it, shop around, check with Uncle Harry. No one-day decision. You're going to get all that BS, and that BS is because you did not floss correctly. That's all it's about. So you are creating a result in your demo. And your goal should be, I would write this down, my goal is to create laydowns. My goal is to create people who can't wait to buy from me. I would start to affirm that to myself on the inner game level. Okay, so what we're doing here, we are using educational reciprocity. So we are giving information and education. That is the premise of facilitating the fear. And I'm going to show you specifically how you do this in the alarm business. Here's how it goes. There are several ways you can do step one. So I'm going to give you a couple examples. You can do it however you're comfortable with. As you all know, I'm a wordsmith. So when I talk, I got missiles built into the linguistics, as you know. And I would recommend you build missiles into the linguistics because I prefer to talk to their subconscious mind over the gatekeeper. Now, I'm working on getting them into the prefrontal cortex, but the gatekeeper, the one who blocks you, I just talk to the subconscious. And that has been my strategy. If you want to use that, use it. If you don't, don't. But come as close to it as you can. Step one. Step one is called the setup. And it's very easy to do this. It takes me more time to teach it than for you to do it. The setup goes like this. Folks, even in the unlikely event, you were unable to go ahead with security, what I'd like to do is to leave you with some information of value. Is that fair? Okay, another way you could do this, based on our new strategy, which I just started using, and I'm even working this into my own sales presentations, is what I call permissions. Because we now know, according to neuroscience, permissions drops the guard. So I could say to them, would it be okay if I leave you with some information of value, even if for whatever reason you're unable to go ahead with it? Would that be okay? And of course, they're going to say yes. So that's two different ways you can do it. And notice, because you guys are all in the inner circle here, notice the go ahead with it. Go ahead with it. It's buried into my linguistics. If you want to model that, you must do it with integrity, or you will create the sales boomerang. And you don't want the sales boomerang. You hear me talk about it over and over again. So make sure your intention is correct. So even in the unlikely event you were unable to go ahead with it, what I'd like to do is leave you with some information of value. Is that fair? Or would it be okay if I leave you with some value, with some information of value, even if you don't go ahead with it? Even in the unlikely event you don't go ahead with it. See, what I'm doing here in step one, the setup, is I am using guard down phrasing to excuse educational reciprocity with embedded commands. The easiest way I can say this to you is this process is ninja. And I'm telling you, well, tens of thousands of alarms went down this way, just this way. I never, back in the day, I didn't even dissect the questions and say, here's what I'm doing. I used to tell them it's a Lexus, just go drive it. It's the relentless pursuit of perfection. Just go drive it. I never even told them about the embedded commands. They were just in there. And so I'm just breaking it down for you. Number 2 is the scenario. So step 1 is the setup. Step 2 is the scenario. So when you give the information a value, you are going to create a scenario. And again, some of you are trying to do this at the door. It's better if you do it in a presentation. If you do it at a door, it's probably going to be met with success, but it's way better in a presentation because you're sitting at a kitchen table. It's conversational. So here's the scenario. And you guys have heard me do it before. I'm formalizing the step right now. So Mr. and Mrs. Smith, what do you do on date night? Oh, we love to go to the movies. Really? What movie theater do you go to? What I'm doing here is customizing the scenario to them. We go to the one just 2 miles up the road. Excellent. Which car do you typically take? We take the white Chevy. Okay, great. So you take the white Chevy and you go to the movies. Who typically drives? He drives. Excellent. What am I doing? I'm putting them in the picture. I'm creating imagery in their mind. So now let's say you go to the movies and I play with this stuff. He's in the movies and he's holding your hand and the next thing you know, he's trying to kiss you. Right? Start laughing, whatever. So now you guys have a wonderful date, wonderful movie, and you come home. When you come home, where do you park the car? In the driveway? In the circular drive? In the garage? Where do you put the car? Oh, we usually just pull up in the circle drive. Great. So you pull the car up, you put it in park. White Chevy is in front of the house, and what door do you go in now? Side or front? Usually we'll just come in the front door. Great. So Mr. Smith, you got the keys in hand, you put the car in park. You go to open the door. Mrs. Smith, you're right behind him. And you go to open the door, and you suddenly notice something's going on. You see it. Now, when you create a scenario, go like this. You see it. Watch what happens. As you look at the door, you suddenly notice that the door is fragmented. You know something is wrong. And your husband takes a step in the door. And you step in the door right behind him. And as you look down the hall, as you look into the house, you notice that things are out of place. Something is definitely wrong. At that moment, your stomach drops out on you. That sixth sense has kicked in. And all of a sudden, you hear a noise. Now watch this, guys. Watch this, watch this, watch this. And once again, I'm just here to give you the information. Whether or not you go ahead with it, that's on you. See me softening it? Because I know this shit's getting intense right now. I am putting them in a picture. Watch how I get them to internalize the picture. So step 1 is the setup. Step 2 is the scenario. Step 3 is you question around the scenario. The questions around the scenario are what put them in the picture. And you guys see me do this on training. I'll literally say to you, I'll run you through this. Thank you, Rob. I love it too, man. I'm so happy to share it with you. I'll run you guys through it and you go like this. I'll be like, so what would you do? And you get this is what you guys do every time. You go like this. You look up somewhere up there. The moment your prospect looks up there, guess what? They are in what I call the crystal ball. You have put them inside the crystal ball. So you want to ask questions around the scenario. And once again, you ask questions in the name of, look at the hands here, guys. Look at the hands. Respectfully. Whether or not what you do is up to you. I'm just here to give you the info. See how you do that? Guard down, guard down. Anytime you're talking about something fearful, we're facilitating the fear. So let me ask you, Mr. Smith, let me start with you, because I have a feeling I know the answer, Mr. Smith. What would you do? Mr. Smith, here's Mr. Smith. Oh, I'd go right into that house. I'm going to take on the burglar. Watch this now. Mr. Smith, I'm not here today to tell you what to do. And you know what? That's exactly what I thought you would say. And I will guarantee you, you will do that. Because you're that kind of guy. You're going to protect your family. I'll get with you in a moment. Mrs. Smith, tell me what you would do. 360 or 180 and I'm out. Mrs. Smith, are you dragging him with you? Oh, no, you can't tell him what to do. When his mind is made up, he's done. Great. Watch this now. Permission. Would it be okay with you if I made a recommendation based on my company? Would that be okay? Well, yeah. Okay, great. Well, my company recommends, Mr. Smith, as much as I know you would go in there, as much as I know there's probably a gun in the glove box of your car, my company recommends you leave. You exit the building immediately and call the authorities. So can I ask you both, Mrs. Smith, starting with you, what is it about that recommendation that strikes a chord with you? Well, you never know. There could be more than one. They could be on drugs. By the way, who's selling who here? This is called the confession, guys. They could be on drugs. They could kill me and my husband. You know what, Mrs. Smith? You're absolutely right, and I agree with you. Who's selling who? Mr. Smith, I know you would go in and do business. But seriously, what is it about it that my company is recommending you get out of there as fast as you can? Well, I kind of see their point. You know, burgers can be dangerous. They could be doing methamphetamines. Who knows what they're doing? Do you agree with my company? I do. Would you listen or would you still go in? I'm still going in. You know what? No problem, Mr. Smith. And I know you would, but at least I was able to make some recommendations in the unlikely event you were unable to go ahead with it. Would it be okay if I did one more? Oh, yeah, go ahead. Okay, now let's say you're sleeping. What's your typical ritual before you go to sleep? Well, I shut the lights. I leave the oven light on. I personally go through the whole house and I lock all the doors. Okay, great. So now you're sleeping. Who's a sound sleeper here? Oh, he is. He snores like crazy. See how much fun I'm having with them? You're playing with them while you're doing these scenarios. So, Mrs. Smith, you're the lighter sleeper? Oh, yeah, pin drops and I wake up. Okay. 4 a.m, you wake up. What am I doing here? Somebody unmute. What am I doing? You what? You can literally tell me by my physical.
Asking if they hear it.
Do you hear a noise, right? See, the reason I use this, the gut, this, I'm teaching you how to facilitate the process. So you suddenly hear a noise. It's 4 a.m, you're in bed. So guess what? You get what I call the Pinocchio ear. Instead of your nose growing, your ear grows. So your ear got about 12 times bigger, and now you confirm something is wrong. You're elbowing Mr. Smith. He's snoring away. You are now officially throwing him the elbow, and you're saying, honey, wake up. There's a noise in the house. Something is wrong. You wake up. You confirm what she said. Notice the tone here, folks. Slow, volume down, putting them in it. You confirm what they said. And again, this is whether or not you go ahead with this. I just want to get the information to you. What do? Do you have a plan? How are you going to handle this if it were to happen? You know what? I don't know. I've never thought about it. Great. In all fairness to you, since I'm here, would it be okay if we thought about it now? And I'll give you a great plan here before you leave. Mrs. Smith, what would you do? I would just hide under the pillow. In all truthfulness, if somebody had bad intent in your home, is hiding under the pillow going to help you? Well, no. What could you do instead? So you help them to come up with a plan if this happened. Would it be okay if I share with you on behalf of my company what we recommend? Yeah, go ahead. First of all, we recommend avoid a conflict with bad guys at all costs. And again, my company has decided that. What do you think it is about that that's what they're recommending? Well, I suppose if I get into a confrontation with a burglar, I could end up getting hurt or worse. Who's selling who? See, it's reverse selling. Is there anything else? Mr. Smith, what is it about it that my company... In other words, you don't hear my company saying, hey, go confront the bad guy. What is it about this that my company's not recommending that? I guess it could be multiple burglars, multiple bad guys. Okay. Yeah, that's right. That's true. See, we understand what happens in here's the hot word, guys. You already know this. We understand what happens in a home invasion. Respectfully, be okay if I share with you, like, not the nitty-gritty details, but would it be okay if I share with you what can happen in a home invasion? Yeah, go ahead. People get tied up. Can I ask you a question, Mr. Smith? If Mrs. Smith were tied up, respectfully, and some lunatic were in your home, is that a risk you would be willing to take? No? Tell me more. I'm never willing to take that risk. Again, respectfully. Again, I pray to God on the Bible. Give me a Bible. I pray to God on the Bible. This never happens. That is my greatest prayer for you and your family. However, the only worst thing than this time right here that we're talking about is if I didn't share this with you and God forbid it actually happened and you were unprepared. By the way, this is the worst part of my job. I'm almost done. Other than this, I love what I do. This is the worst part of it. But I wanted to leave you with the information of value. Is that fair? Now, what I'm going to do next, this is the bridge from detect to correct. What I'm going to do next is I'm going to take out my clipboard and I'm going to ask you to come with me. And we're going to walk around the outside of your house. And I'm going to look at your home through the eyes of a burglar, of a bad guy, of a meth head, of a group of burglars. I am going to look at your home with you through the eyes of a burglar. And we are going to design a system that will stop them in their tracks. Good or good? Oh my God, that's good. Good or great. That is amazing. Fantastic. Let's get up. Let's take a quick walk around the house. We're going to look at this. Then I'm going to show you exactly how we stop bad guys in their tracks. That, my friends, is how you detect. My belief, I'm only giving you a belief. You do what you want to do. I don't do a walk around in the early stages of the demo. Why? Number one, they don't trust me yet. So if you hit the door and you're like, oh yeah, we give you three doors and one motion, you're not doing a walk around. That's what I call the sit around. The sit around will keep you broke. The walk around will make you rich. Custom designing a system for them. And again, this is an ADT call, but any other industry could custom design their process as well. 9.8% of other sales reps will custom design nothing. So by me custom designing something, guess what? I'm eliminating 9.8% of other people because I'm engaging them in the problem. I'm engaging them in the solution, and I'm doing it in a way that creates rapport, keeps their guard down, and builds the gap from here to here or here to here, from where you are to where you really want to be. So now watch what happens. We're going to floss even more. I'm going to floss. Oh my God, am I going to floss when I do this walk around? More questions. Clipboard. How many of you have ever traded a car in? Anybody ever trade a car in? When you go to trade a car in, the used car manager comes out to your car and you're sitting in the dealership looking around the corner and the guy is touching your car. And he touches it and shakes his head. He's like, nope. He goes over to the tires, shakes his head. Nope, because he knows you're watching. They're devaluing your car in your mind. If you got a scratch, he's going to touch it and shake his head. He's going to touch it and write it down on his clipboard. When you do your walk around, guys, you got to get contemplative. The tone is contemplation. Like, what do you think of this porch you have here and that second story window? How do you feel about that? And this back door over here. How do you feel about this back door? Oh, I am incredibly concerned about the back door. What is it about the back door that concerns you? Really, it's just the door itself. I know this is a cheap frame, and a crowbar could widen the frame and the door just flicks right open. I hear you, Mr. Customer. Let me make a note of that. By the way, statistically, doors get robbed blank percentage of the time. So my recommendation to you anyway would be to do every door because of the statistic. But I want to make sure you're on board because I could design the system different. But I know you're concerned while you're home. So let's shut these holes. So these doors are Fort Knox. Word picture, word picture. These doors are armored. Word picture, word picture. See, you're just going in, oh, I'm going to put a little sensor here. Really? That's called feature-itis. I have future-itis. I sell futures. I sell feelings. I don't sell features. Fort Knox. Armored door. Word pictures, right? I'm going to shut this door down. No burglar on planet Earth will get through this door. Not only today, folks, tomorrow, a year from now, where am I going now? Remember, future pacing? Want to get rid of the contract objection? This is safety for life. 3 years from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, you're still sleeping with 4 eyes closed. Both of you Your eyes are closed. Mrs. Smith, the light sleeper, you suddenly are a deep sleeper. Why? Because with my solution, here's one thing you'll know for sure. You're safe. With me, what's the one thing you'll know for sure, Mrs. Smith? Make her confess it. I'm safe, Mark. That's right. With me, you're safe. Which means without me, you're what? Without me, you're vulnerable. With me, you're safe. With me, you do it right the first time, which implies without me, you might be vulnerable. With me, you're safe. With me, you're safe. Watch this, guys. Every time you talk about safety, you go like this. Look here, look here, look here, look here. With me, you're safe. You point to your dang self over and over. With me, you're safe. 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 Without me, you're screwed. And you never tell them they're screwed without you. Let their imagination do that. With me, you're safe. Mr. and Mrs. Customer, you do it with me. Let me see you guys right now tap on yourself unless you're driving. Come on, let's start tapping. With me. Come on, Chris Bradford. Andrew, be careful, Joe. With me, Joe Navarro, you're safe. That's right. You are going to become the ADT tappers. With me, you're safe, which means without me, who knows what? We continue to walk around. Mr. and Mrs. Smith, how do you feel about that window over there? All right, I'm going to back off on the walk around because the walk around is the bridge between detecting and correcting. When you correct, you're going to show the solution. When you detect, you're uncovering what's going on. Remember, detecting is discover or identify the presence of frustration, lack, overwhelm, stuckness, fear. That's what detecting is. Correcting is we solve it. By the way, guys, this all is happening in 20 minutes. It takes me longer to talk to you about it here because I'm showing it to you step by step. Now, I got one more step in my process, which I forgot to do. I started to migrate into the walk around because I wanted to weave that in today. But let me go back. So step one is the setup. Folks, even in the unlikely event, you're unable to go ahead with security, I want to leave you with some information of value. Is that fair? Or, folks, would it be okay if I were to leave you with some information of value, even in the unlikely event you were unable to go ahead with security? Step one, setup. Step two, the scenario.
Hey, repeat. All right.
Go ahead.
Say that the second way. Say that one more time, please.
Second way, would it be okay if I were to leave you with some information of value, even in the unlikely event you were unable to go ahead with security? And you'll have that on the recording. It's $1 million script. So if you want to use that, if you were to do anything identical to what I do with your own voice tone, it would be that word phrasing. So would it be okay if I leave you with some information of value, even in the unlikely event you were unable to go ahead with security? All right, not to get too diverted here, let me just summarize. So step one is the setup. That's the setup Chris just asked about. Step two is the scenario. You do a burglary and robbery scenario. By the way, selling security. Is security, what is the foundation of security? It's life safety. So you could also do a scenario on fire if you wanted to. But the truth be told, you would only ever need to do burglary, robbery, or fire. That's what is needed. Now, somebody might have a hot button. You know, mom lives with them, medical emergency. We work long hours. She's home alone all day. Okay, so maybe a medical emergency. But for the most part, burglary, robbery, fire is where the life safety is. So in the scenario, I do burglary fire. And then when I do the correct phase and the walk around, I'm still detecting. How do you folks feel about fire? I can literally do a scenario while I'm walking around on fire to create even more gap. So you can go as deep as you want into this, but let me get the steps out. Number one, the setup. Number two, the scenario. Number three, the questions. Remember the questions? What would you do if this were you? Respectfully. How would you approach this? What would your step be? On behalf of my company. So you ask the questions, you make recommendations. Number four, I got to get this step in because we're going to end it on a positive and we are going to paint the future. Now, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, you go to the movies. Watch this now. And by the way, my partner invented this back in 1990, maybe 2000. I was tearing it up with this scenario. And one day he says to me, you know, we really got to accentuate the positive. And I'm like, we don't have a sales problem. What are you talking about? And he wanted to do a positive scenario. And the more I thought about it, I was like, yeah, that's good. Step four, sell the future. So now you guys go to the movie and you come home, you're in the white car, you're in the white Chevy, and you pull up and your headlights deflect off your yard sign. You see the first line of defense staring at you every time you pull into this house, just like the bad guy sees. But now you put the car in park, take the keys out, you go to walk in the front door, and you know with me in ADT, you're safe. No door fragmentations, not wondering in the back of your mind, maybe, just maybe, somebody's around the shower curtain, somebody's hiding in the laundry room or in the basement or in the attic. No. Walking into your home confidently. Now you walk in. You already shut the system off right from the app. And you know you're safe. You walk into the house and you feel relaxed. Every time you walk into the home from this point forward, you are relaxed. Every time you walk into the home from this point forward, you know you're safe. By the way, this is called reframing. I'm telling them what's gonna happen. Every time you walk into the home from this point forward, you're safe. Every time you walk into the home from this point forward, you feel peace. Every time you walk into the home from this point forward, when you go to sleep, both eyes closed. Good or good, Mrs. Smith? Oh, it's good. And remember, even if you weren't to go ahead with me, when you do security right, this is the end result. But I know you love me and we're going to do it together, right, Mrs. Smith? Right? You can play with people. You can have fun with them. So that is the fourth step. You create the future and you create the feelings in the future. This is how you correctly do the detect section. Okay, with that, I will open the call. Who's got questions?
I do. Do you use this same framework when you say have an appointment with someone that already has a security system and has had one for a long time?
100%. Mr. or Mrs. Smith, would it be okay? So in the walk around, would it be okay if I took a peek at your existing system to determine if there were any holes left? That said, let me ask you a question. So you can create the same sort of scenario. So when you're dealing with somebody who already has security, they are more security conscious than somebody who doesn't. So you might modify it a tad bit but would it be okay if I share a little information with you? Even in the unlikely event you were unable to go ahead with me, would you be okay if I shared a little information with you? Even if you were unable to go ahead with me, or even if for whatever reason you didn't choose me, would you be okay if I shared a little information with you? So what information, Chris, would we share with somebody who already had an alarm? What type of scenario could we create for somebody who already has an alarm? Think about this. So we might need to know a little more about their situation. So watch this now. It's such a great question you just asked. What do most salespeople do? Well, here's what most salespeople do. I can take your keypad out and put my keypad in. I'm going to take your panel out and put my panel in. And then I'm going to use this thing. What do you call it, by the way? A translator. I'm going to tie all 48 zones. I'm going to, by the way, this is the Vivint guys, not you. I'm going to tie all 48 zones onto one zone. And this way here, you're going to be safe, which is just complete BS, right? So watch what you could do once you understand the framework. Could you do the walk around right before the detect section? So instead of doing the walk around after detect, you do it right before, so you understand where the holes are in their existing system. You see what I'm saying? So now you know exactly what I'm going to create a scenario for. Watch this. Mr. and Mrs. Smith, would it be okay at this point if we do a little bit of a walk around so I can get clear on exactly what you have now? And would it be okay if I looked at your home through the eyes of a bad guy? Now, if they already have an alarm, are you doing a walk around inside the house, outside the house, or both?
Both.
If you really want to be thorough, both. But you got to be a big baller to do that. You can't be that slam bam, thank you, man. I just got to get out of here. I need to do 3 deals today. You can't be that guy. You got to slow it down. Let me look at what you have in here. So now I'm doing my little walk around and I notice that there's no motion in the master bedroom. And the master bedroom's on the main floor. Or I notice there are no windows or door sensors on the first floor. There's only a motion. I've got 2 scenarios I can create right there. Mr. and Mrs. Smith, would it be okay if I were to leave you with a little bit of valuable information, even in the unlikely event you were unable to go ahead with me? Would that be okay? Yes. Good. So you're at work. No motion in the master bedroom. And you're having a great day working. And some bad guy duct tapes this French door, this sliding glass door. They duct tape it and boom. Or with a crowbar, boom. Now the glass is gone. They saw your yard sign. So they just walked through the broken glass, the hole in the broken glass. You come home, once again, respectfully, and you suddenly discover someone's in your home. What would you do? See, I can expose a hole using a scenario. Do you see where I'm going with that, Chris? Adapting it. So that's sort of like 102, but $1 million question. Great question. How will you adapt it? If you don't know where their holes are, you won't know how to adapt. So what are you doing? If you don't adapt, you're commoditizing. You have this, I can do this. Where's the differentiator? There is none. Even if you go like this, you have this, I can do this. This is a camera. This is automatic door lock. This has the app. Yours doesn't. It's better, but you never created the gap. So to me, the gap is always necessary under every circumstance. It's just that you have to adapt in how you're going to create it. So in example 1, which was a great point, They either do not have security or the security is not activated. In example 2, your question would be, how do you adapt if they actually have an alarm? You got to find the holes in their existing alarm. So where are the holes? Smoke detectors, carbon monoxide, maybe remote control, maybe cameras, maybe door sensors, windows. A lot of alarms don't have all doors, all windows. If you got kids and you're concerned while you're home, don't you need all doors, all windows? Yeah. And it's going to cost you. Yes. We're not making free freer here, folks. We're making safe safer. Okay. There's a line you can steal from me today. I make safe safer. I don't make free freer. But a lot of you want to make free freer, and you are getting dragged into competing with other people who are making free freer instead of removing yourself from that and becoming a design expert, finding holes. Because let me ask you a question. Freer than free, cheaper than cheap, compromises your life. Safer than safe. Ooh, it costs money for safer than safe, but safer than safe saves your life. So freer than free compromises you. Safer than safe protects you. Who do you want at that point in time? Safer than safe, Chris. Please, can I have safer than safe? I'm so glad you asked. Yes, let me get safer than safe to you. It's such a simple question, isn't it? Freer than free compromises you. Safer than safe saves your life. Who do you want? Safer than safe. Great. Will you work with me? Can I figure out what safer than safe is? By the way, that could be a rebuttal at the door. That literally could be a door knock rebuttal. That could get you indoors. Just that right there. Great question. We can work on that a little more in coming days. Hopefully that was enough to help you out. But once you understand a framework, you can adapt the framework. And that's what I want you to see. Super question. Anybody else? Anybody else? If no other question,
Mark.
yes.
Yeah, Mark. So, quick question. And so in other words, we have we're at the fourth step, correct? There's just a third step. We have the respect. Now we're detecting, and you're using to detect basically these questions often in a almost like a permission state, so they could feel comfortable with that. In the walk, you're also imputing these stories so they could put themselves in there and see the reality of it. Let me ask you this then. In this process, if they come up with any, for example, objections, is that because of the early stages? We didn't clear that, or when they do, how do you respond?
Okay, so again, if you're in a demo, so you've gained entry into the house. When you do a full demo, my experience is most people will use their objections at the end. So a lot of times you're not going to see the objections coming during the process unless there is something structurally wrong with what you're doing or what you're doing is opposed to what they actually desire. Right? So for example, if I were doing full perimeter protection and they said to me, Mark, I don't care when I'm home. All I care about is when I'm gone. You know how many guns I have in this house? I literally do not give a hoot when I'm home. I got 4 dogs. Great. Could I design that system with 2 motions and not do the windows on the first floor? Yes. So what kind of objection would you get if you're listening to the customer's need? There's a sweet spot. Somebody will know the name of this. I'll just show this to you real quick. You ever see these circles? I forget what they call them, where they draw 2 circles like this. So this is what I want. This is what you want. This is in the middle, right? This is what I think you should have. This is what you think you should have. This is the sweet spot, what you should actually have. So I got to be careful not to impose my will on them. At the same time, I got to be a professional to bring things to their awareness. But if somebody were to give me an objection during the process, I would just handle the objection using my 4-step framework, which you haven't gotten yet, but my 4-step framework to handle all objections is agree and acknowledge, remove but or however, handle the concern, flip the pain, prompt action. So it's a framework. It's a 4-step framework. So I acknowledge and agree. Well, Mark, this all sounds great, but I think we're just going to think about it. Very rarely would I get that in the middle of a demo. Hopefully for you guys, you're engaging enough to keep people's attention as you're going through it. But like, what other objection is somebody, can you give me an example of an objection somebody would give me while I'm going through the demo?
Yeah. So, hey, you know what? I'm thinking about it. I'm busy. In fact, I got to go. I just remember to have this other appointment.
Perfect. Time. So you got a time objection. No
Okay.
issue at all. No issue at all. And so once again, notice I didn't barely even heard the objection yet, and I'm already, see how I'm defaulting to my framework? No issue at all. It's almost like Floyd Mayweather. He automatically, he just knows what to do when you swing at him, right? No issue at all. And again, I apologize. So now they are thinking there is more pain to listening to me than there is going to their appointment. And so I could test the objection by saying, no problem. What time would be better? Or I could say, no issue at all. I acknowledge the time. I know I knocked on the door and interrupted you folks. Would it be okay if I ask, one more question? Are you earnestly, watch this, if you want to get people to tell you the truth, are you earnestly wanting to know more, or are you just wanting to end this? No, we want to know more. Okay, great. So I can go 2 directions now. I can either attempt to reset the appointment. So what would be a good time where we could dedicate the time to this? Look at your home through the eyes of a bad guy, and I could show you how to stop every bad guy in his tracks for the next 20 years. When could we do that? Or I could reframe step 3, flip the pain, and I could say, folks, I understand this is slightly inconvenient. That said, if you knew for certain, listening to this guy, I would be trying to break their state if they were asking me that question. If you knew for sure that this guy blabbering a little bit, we're going to be the difference that made the difference. If my difference saved your life, would your appointment be more important than what we're doing right here? Well, no. They would get the O off the no, and I'd be like, can I move on? So I could totally pattern interrupt them. That's another thing. That is probably the direction I would go with it myself before trying to reset the appointment. So it's something to be mindful of when you're knocking and when you're going in. People say, how long is this going to take? You do not give them a time. You tell them, I'll be brief. It depends how many questions you have. What ends up happening is a lot of people treat me like a friend and we hang out. But you might hate my guts and want me to leave. I doubt it, but you might, right? So you start playing with them. The truth of the matter is, sometimes people do have an appointment. They might have a scheduled appointment. But it's interesting, a lot of times that doesn't come up till you get towards the close, right? So you got to play with it. But you will be taught a 4-step framework, how to reframe, flip pain, which is what I just did with you. Agree, remove but or however, and then if you knew for certain, all I'm doing is flipping the pain. Instead of them putting pain to me, I'm putting pain to not doing it. See, once you understand the framework, or not even not buying the alarm, I'm putting the pain to not listening to me. If you knew for sure that listening to me would be the difference to make the difference, potentially saving your family's life, would it be worth listening? Well, yeah, I guess. They get the yes off the yes. Can I move on? Pattern interrupt. That's called a pattern interrupt. Okay. And by the way, I've been doing pattern interrupts for 30 years before sales trainers even started talking about it. Because I learned about pattern interruption from NLP, and I learned about it from Ericksonian hypnosis, Ericksonian therapy. They use this to break people of phobias all the time. It applies over to sales beautifully. And that is called, that's how I would use my 4-step framework to handle the concern and interrupt their pattern. And we can work on that on Voxer if you want, Joe, where you literally get me recording that, and then you can put that in your Voxer notebook. It's very powerful. It can also be done at the door. People say, I'm not interested. No issue. And I got great news for you. If you're not interested, I won't even let you. Go ahead with it. You'd have to absolutely need it. You'd have to absolutely want it. And you'd have to say that I am the best looking sales guy you've met all day. If all that wasn't present, I won't even let you go ahead with it. Now watch this. Watch this. Step 1 is complete. Step 2, that said, see, I don't use butter, however, on step 2. Never use but. Don't use however, because it negates what I said in step 1. Step 3, flip the pain, reframe, handle the concern. Mr. or Mrs. Smith, I know I wasn't invited. I get it. I acknowledge it. That said, if listening to me today were the difference to make the difference, and it helped prevent something tragic from happening to one of your family members, would it have been worth listening? Well, yes. They get the yes off the yes. Can I move on? Why do I say they get the yes off the yes? Because I want to interrupt their pattern. So when they get the yes off the yes, can I move on? My next question is already loaded. Then you move on. That's a pattern interrupt at the door. That pattern interrupt can be used in the middle. Most of the time, they're only needed to be used at the door, but the flipping the pain in step 3 of my process has to be used often. Can't afford it. Understood. And if you can't afford it, no matter what you said, I would never let you buy it. Because the last thing I want to do is burden you financially. Is that true or what? I don't want to burden anybody financially. My intention is to give you safety for life, not to burden you financially. All that said, let me ask you, if you knew for certain someone were coming in and you were unprotected, God forbid there would be a home invasion. God forbid while you were home something would happen. Can I ask you a question? At that point in time, would you have been willing to make the investment? Well, yes. Great. Tell me more. Well, because it saved my life. Well, you can wait and I can wait, but bad guys never wait. See, so I could use it in a close. Once you know the 4-step framework, that's why do you guys see why I tell you framework, 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 framework? You don't ever have to say anything the same way twice once you understand framework. Once I teach you how to flip pain, handle the concern, flip the pain, that's the framework. Because an objection is nothing more than putting pain to you and pleasure to not doing it with you. So you got to flip the pain. You got to flip the fear. So the fear is in not dealing with me. The pleasure is in dealing with me. Is this making sense? Once you understand what I call the pain pleasure toggle switch, you can sell anything. Once you understand how to toggle pain and pleasure.